Am I the asshole for getting in a bad mood over champagne etiquette? Background. I, 21F, am in my final year of university in the UK. I have a group of 7 close friends who do my course. 4 people from this group share a house, while me and our other friends live separately, each with our own housemates. Regardless, all 7 of us are close friends. We all live in the same student-heavy area of our university town, and my house is a 5-minute walk from their place. Our final exams ended last week, and my faculty had a big formal event planned on Saturday night, basically a party where you wear formal wear with drinks and live music. We had decided that we would all meet at the house which 4 of my friends shared, and then get 2 Ubers to a restaurant near the venue. I suggested that we buy some champagne to drink at my friend's house before we went to the restaurant, and everyone agreed with the idea. My friend Chloe, one of the 4 who share the house, and I went to the shop to buy 2 bottles on Saturday morning, and kept it in their fridge. I paid, and everyone else transferred me their share of the cost. We agreed that we would meet at 6:30 that evening and get cabs at 7. I was getting ready when I got a message through on our group chat asking when I was coming over. I said 6:30, it was about 15:15, and one Chloe's housemates, Dom, messaged that they were going to open the champagne so to get there quickly. I messaged back to wait for me, and they said okay. I quickly finished getting ready and headed to their house. When I got there, they thrust a glass of champagne in my hand and said cheers, and all seemed in good spirits. I was evidently the last person to arrive, was before 6:30, and I immediately clocked that everyone's glasses were half empty. I asked when they opened it, and they said that they had opened it 10 minutes ago, but not to worry as they had saved me a glass. I was pretty upset by this, and kind of snapped back, asking why they couldn't have just waited. I was pretty upset during dinner, and I think they could tell. Some of them were apologetic, but a couple of them insisted that they didn't do anything wrong as they had saved me a glass and paid me the money for their share already. I said that the point of buying champagne was opening it together and toasting, not just having the drink itself, and the first bit was what I had missed out on. It put me in a bad mood for the rest of the night, and probably soured the evening a little for everyone. Am I the asshole for getting in a bad mood over this, or was it justified? And #X200B. Edit. This got way more responses than I imagined, so thank you everyone for responding. A few points I wanted to clarify and I thought here would be better so they don't get lost in the fray. Ruining the night, I think dinner was pretty tense, but we are all very good friends and things were pretty much fine by the time we got to the party, even if I was filled with a sense of righteous indignation. I am still annoyed that they did it, but it's not a friendship-breaking issue. The night wasn't ruined, just marred. Champagne etiquette. My tongue was a little in my cheek when I came up with the post title. I wasn't trying to say that there's some socially mandated etiquette to serving champagne, just that I thought everyone would understand that it's different to a cheap bottle of Lambrini, and that it would be nice for us all to be there to open it together. Why they did it? Clearly from the responses there are 2 different views. Champagne is a social thing that you do together, or it's just a nice, expensive drink, and my friends thought it was the latter. That said, I'm pretty sure they did pop the cork and do a toast from things that they said. They did have other drinks there, but I guess when all you have available is paint stripper vodka and tinned lager, 2 bottles of chilled Moët in the fridge probably seem quite appealing. Not the asshole. They could have had a glass of ordinary wine while they waited. You arranged it and then missed the toast even though you were on time and they knew you were on the way because they were rude. The only way I can see blame being with you is if you are always late and unreliable and were late again for the drinks. I read Chimpanzee Etiquette on my first glance and was very interested. Now I'll go read it. You're not the asshole, but is it worth fighting over? I get it, it was rude of them to open it and start drinking it without you. It's an event in itself to dramatically open the bottle, pour the drinks and toast. I hope they apologize to you because it is inconsiderate of them not to wait, but sometimes it's not worth the mental energy. Not the asshole. Let's be honest here. Unless you buy the really good stuff, you buy champagne for the theater of the pop and gush, not for the taste. If this had been a movie night, the equivalent would be them being halfway through the movie and only giving you a cup of fizzed-out cola and a cup of half-popped krenels as a snack. Info. Did they know you wanted them to wait to open the champagne until you got there? Am I the asshole for not being the nicest about my not father having cancer? I'm Sophie, 22 female. And I have 2 older half-brothers, 25 male, and 27 male. The man who had been raising me as my father, 54 male, found out I was not his biological child. My 2 older brothers are. When I was 7 and promptly abandoned me and divorced my mom. He was very involved up until this point and was actually in the middle of coaching my soccer team when it happened. He abandoned that too and the assistant coach had to take over. Anyways, he ended up, not sure how, paying child support to my mom for me. Probably because he was the breadwinner and him leaving my mom left us 2 in pretty dire financial circumstances. I was also yanked out of the private school my brothers and I attended. He remarried a few years later to a woman with a daughter a year younger than me and promptly did everything with her that he used to do with me. Hurrah for them. Sophomore year of high school, some organization was hosting a father-daughter dance in our school gym while I was around campus with some friends, can't remember, and we vandalized the fancy car he pulled up in. Not something I'm proud of, but I'm mentioning it here because although I paid for half the cost of repairs, he graciously paid the other half and decided not to press charges. Anyways, now the old man has cancer, both brothers and stepdaughter are out of state with school, and his wife has early arthritis or something, not really sure. He calls my mom and asks her if either of us could drive him to end from chemotherapy. We were in the car and he was on speaker, so I told him no, that's something family does and he's made it very clear he doesn't see either of us as family and hung up. Mom is doing things like bringing casseroles and driving him. I don't try to stop her but I don't help her either. She has recently started to try and guilt me into it, saying, "He always paid child support," to which I said the amount of money he lost on that was about as impactful as a fart in the wind for ol' moneybags. He didn't press charges about his car, to which I said great, he did one nice thing for me, so he can get 1 casserole or 1 car ride. Now my siblings and his stepdaughter have all flown in and my brother says he, not dad, really needs to speak to me. I said to tell him that if he has something to say to me I don't want to hear it and if he writes me a letter I'm not opening it. I said I was sorry for what they were going through but that he's made it very clear I'm not his family and so I don't want them asking me for things they would ask of family. However, they're struggling and the more they ask for help the more my patience wears thin and the more insensitive my rejections get. My mother recently talked with me about being the bigger person. Am I the asshole? Also, please don't leave comments like, "The real asshole is your mom for cheating and committing paternity fraud." Like, "Thanks for that one Sherlock, and my mother and I have reconciled." Edit. My mom is pushing me to be the bigger person because our pastor says it will have a healing effect on my soul. She is very religious. Edit 2. The situation is more complicated than not dad being an innocent angel victim and mom deciding to do paternity fraud for funsies. I might do a separate post or something to explain since this is anonymous anyway. While her circumstances don't excuse or justify her actions which were still wrong, having the full context made me more amenable to forgiveness. Not the asshole. Your mom being nice to him makes a kind of sense. She cheated on him so she feels guilty for the fallout and divorce. However, you were blameless and he treated 7-year-old you cruelly and your feelings are valid too. Perhaps try and explain it to your mom like that and see how she reacts. Honestly, he has enough family support from the kids he raised. Stick to your guns. Not the asshole, he made his choice when you were 7. I'd be going non-contact. You made your boundaries clear and they aren't respecting them. They don't deserve to have access to you. Your mother also needs to respect your boundaries. She was the one that had a relationship with him that she fucked up. You have no responsibility towards this man. Not the asshole. Ask all of them if they think he'd have rushed to cook for you, drive you around. Generally help if it was the other way around and you were the one to have gotten sick. Not the asshole. The asshole here is your mother. She created the situation. He reacted badly, of course, but what had been done to him was absolutely hideous. You say you've forgiven your mother, that's lovely for you, but she did this to both you and the man who thought he was your father. Am I the asshole for refusing to come home for a few days in the summer over a sleeping arrangement? I, 19F, have 2 little sisters, 13 and 10F, who do dance. It's really important to them, and they have a show every summer in the big city theater. I moved out of my parents' home last year to go to university in a different country, where I now live alone, and am completely financially independent. I have a long-distance girlfriend, 20F, who I've been together with for almost a year and a half. We visit each other regularly and have a very good relationship. My parents are not supportive of my sexuality or my relationship, and constantly disrespect me and my GF, immediately denying it and claiming they don't have to agree with me to love me. I used to spend every summer at home with my family up until last year, and I've always hated being around my parents. I felt very suffocated and like I couldn't be myself. The only good things about my family are my sisters. I visited for 4 days last Christmas purely to see them, and got yelled at and disrespected by my parents multiple times, after they begged me to come visit. It was a horrible time and led to a huge fight between my parents and I. Now my sisters have asked me to come for a few days this summer to see their show. My girlfriend will be staying with me all summer, so if I were to go she would have to come with. My parents invited both of us, saying they want to see me and get to know her. They've avoided talking about her, and never asked anything about her in the year that they've known about the relationship. I asked what the visit would look like, and they said we would have to sleep in separate rooms, until we're married, and we're not allowed to kiss or be too affectionate in front of my sisters. They said it was just respecting their boundaries. They claim that these are the rules for everyone and the rules they had to follow in their parents' houses. I have no way of knowing whether these rules apply to everyone since I am the oldest and the first in the family to bring home an SO. I feel like they're just being homophobic and trying to separate us as much as they can. For anyone wondering, my parents are not religious, they have no issue making out in front of my sisters, and the sleeping arrangements would either mean me sleeping with my 17-year-old brother and my girlfriend sleeping in one bed with my sisters, or vice versa, since we only have 3 rooms, 1 for parents, 2 for the 4 of us children. My parents also have no issue inviting friends of all genders and ages for sleepovers, and sometimes there are up to 6 people sleeping in the same room. I feel selfish since I would be missing the show that's important to my sisters, and I originally really wanted to be there with them, but I don't want to subject my girlfriend to my parents' disrespect and have to live in that environment for days. AITA? Edit. I love in the Netherlands. I would be going to the south of Portugal. The flight together with getting to and from the airport would take up most of the day unfortunately. When I say I'm financially independent, I mean I can sustain myself and pay rent and get by with groceries without having to ask for my parents' help. However, I don't have the disposable income I would need to cover plane tickets there and back, a hotel, motel or other type of accommodation for 1-2 nights and the food while we were there. My parents' invite included plane tickets for me, but not for my GF, and a free stay in their house, where we would eat with them for free. Not the asshole. If staying in a hotel isn't possible, just don't go. I'm sure you have to work, study, do an internship, something you can't possibly get out of. Just pick something your parents can't fix with money or otherwise solve for you. Ask them to FaceTime you during the show and send them flowers. Not the asshole, but do you have 0 friends you might also visit and stay with? Or could you handle the cost of a motel a night or 2? The sleeping apart isn't that unusual, though you could both be in the same room with your sisters, just on separate pads, air mattresses, but the no kissing or affection is ridiculous. No full-on making out, sure, but no affection at all? Come on. And you should tell your parents that times have changed since they were children in their parents' houses. Your parents are tall. But why can't your girlfriend stay at your place for a few days while you visit your sisters? Not the asshole, but you have bigger problems to worry about here. Namely, how to explain this to your sisters, because how do you think it's going to go if you leave it up to your parents? I can only imagine they'll blame your girlfriend as the reason why you won't come, and try to convince your sisters to hate your girlfriend. I think the most important thing is to make sure your sisters know if you decide not to make the trip, it isn't about them, it's about the boundaries you expect from your parents about the relationship. But who knows, maybe armed with that information, your sisters can sway your parents' minds. Am I the asshole? Husband says he is traumatized by me being sad on Mother's Day. Yesterday, lawn care was on the menu and I asked my husband if a weed whacker would be a good Father's Day gift. I want to get him something that he wouldn't buy for himself but that he will actually use. He's not much for sentimental trinkets as I am. My other ideas included a grill, but with meat prices I don't foresee us grilling out that much, a new belt with sweet message burned on the inside, a new pocket knife with sweet engraving because the clip on his is kinda dying after 5 years. I've been thinking about it for the past 2 months already. Our son is only 1.5 so he's not really old enough to give gifts himself. But when I asked he responded saying he didn't want to talk about it or even think about it because Mother's Day had traumatized him. For reference, he didn't get me anything for Mother's Day, didn't plan anything, didn't make anything in advance. After about 3 hours of being awake I asked if we were doing anything for Mother's Day and he said, "Well, we can draw a picture together with son if you want." He hadn't even said Happy Mother's Day to me at all. so I burst into tears. He didn't seem to understand that for a handmade gift he should have made something ahead of time and had it ready to give. I figured I should just clean, and while I was in the closet organizing baby clothes and crying, he got out my art supplies and slapped son's hands on the paper with some paint and some of his favorite words wrote around them. He presented it to me without saying the words Happy Mother's Day still, but I did say thank you. And that was it. Oh, other than he left my expensive art supplies on the edge of the table where son could grab and pull them down. That's where I found them an hour later when I was done in the closet, so I them cleaned up and returned them to the rest of my art supplies upstairs. And I cried off and on the rest of the day, and the next. And even a little 2 days later. He said at one point he thought that, they would be enough, himself and son, I guess just existing? Without telling me Happy Mother's Day. I asked him if he remembered his Father's Day the year before, where I basically threw him on an all-day party and got him a gift from our son and a little gag gift from me. And made like a 17-feet banner that stretched from one side of our living room to the other, special cooked his favorite breakfast and dinner. And I told him that I had tried to lead from example last year by treating him the way I wanted to be treated. I tried to explaining that I just wanted something that indicated he thought about it ahead of time and appreciated all I do as a mom. Am I the asshole for crying for days about Mother's Day being forgotten and crappy, thus traumatizing my husband? Update. I am reading each and every comment. I will stop being an asshole to myself. I have asked him to set a day and time soon when he will have the capacity to talk about this. This is a thing from our past couples counseling. B. During the talk I am, still choosing the words, but going to insist that if we have any chance at all he has to at least see and talk to his PCP about his depression and get starting on whatever plan of action they come to for that. No action will result in me conserving all efforts to myself and son. Not the asshole. Your husband claims to be traumatized after making you miserable on your special day. He was incredibly grudging about the very idea of making you feel special, and clearly doesn't want you to go all out for Father's Day again because then he'll feel shamed when he doesn't reciprocate. Info. Is he thoughtful the rest of the year, or is he always thoughtless when it comes to demonstrating his appreciation? Not the asshole. You deserve to be celebrated and you have shown your husband what that looks like. He needs an intervention or you need to leave because it won't get better as he doesn't listen to you. Not the asshole. I'm so fucking tired of people claiming they're traumatized when what they mean is they're unhappy. Is he depressed? If he used to be sweet but now he is a shell of a person, it would be worth considering physical and mental health causes.